une chanson, une chanson.
We had to move from page to stage to be able to make sense. That could make sense. That could make sense. And the dialogue began from page to stage and back. So we're not really worried about what the result was, but.
Le point de départ, justement, était l'idée de Michel Bormans de Bruxelles.
Belgium, 1 point.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a comme différence entre écriture, littérature, texte littéraire et texte écrit pour la scène? Entre littérature et théâtre. Et finalement, on a changé un peu le titre et le contenu en appelant tout notre séminaire de la page à la scène. Oui, au plateau, c'est ça.
Stage, from page to stage, from page to stage. From page to stage.
Tout est nouveau. L'école, on ne la connaît pas. Les élèves, on ne les connaît pas, avec lesquels on travaille. Et le matériau également, c'est nouveau. Et nos collègues de Londres, par exemple, ou de Madrid, ou encore de Lyon, je les ai vus, sauf Elliot, pour la première fois.
For me, it's really a question. What's to teach, what's to direct, what's to be a student? So I left open the question, and I think we have to go deeper in that question in the future.
Acceptons la méthode de déconstruction de nos collègues anglais. On a cru faire quelque chose en prenant cet ensemble de textes, et différentes sortes de textes vulgaires, textes poétiques, textes de Shakespeare, mais on ne savait pas d'où ça venait, on avait des vagues associations. On a pris cet ensemble de sortes de textes pour en construire, c'était notre idée, une partition musicale. Et avec ces 15 fragments de textes, les étudiants de Bruxelles devaient se battre et, si je me rappelle bien, combien de groupes? 5 groupes se sont soustraits à ce travail d'en faire de ces 15 fragments, d'en couper une nouvelle composition.
Expliquer que je ne voulais pas coucher avec quelqu'un qui était incapable de se rendre compte comme ce serait difficile pour moi. Le lendemain matin. Comme ce serait difficile pour moi le lendemain matin. Et, mais il était dans les bas.
La salive, les cheveux, la bouilloire sur le feu, la mer, le flot, Dieu.
Oui. Je suis très content, je suis encore effrayé et content, mais c'est bien, enfin, je veux dire, j'aime ma peur et j'ai appris à l'aimer.
Michel asked each of the schools to send a text as a possibility to use for the seminar. And I sent a text that Elliot, who's here as well, had used for the second year students at Guildhall. It contained fragments of the writers Samuel Beckett, Harold Pinter, Mark Ravenhill, Sarah Kane. So it was already a mixture of writers. And I thought that he was going to choose one of the writers, or propose that each group worked on one thing that he chose. So when I got here and discovered that the students had made a mixture, not only of the writers, but even spreading out sentences. And I was a bit taken aback because I thought it was hard enough anyway to make sense of these texts. But to have created something which initially seemed to me to make very little sense, or was hard to make sense of, I thought they'd made it harder for themselves to work on the text. Actually, I think I was wrong. Because when I saw the results today of all the different performances, I realised that once you realise these bits of fragments, a new sense is made. So in fact it was very creative, and I was wrong in thinking it. I think I mentioned to you before, I was worried about it, but having seen the results, I wasn't. So I've learned something.
Men for sale.
Qu'est-ce que cela peut bien vouloir dire?
Men.
Il a dit.
Sorts, shapes, and size for sale.
Qu'est-ce que cela peut bien vouloir dire?
It's an international congress.
A-t-il dit?
Got up for the entertainment and relief of lady members of the civil service.
That's very kind.
And so we always refer back to them, is this what you want to say? This is yours. Are you saying what you want to say? So that is a way of keeping it belonging to them.
I was in the restroom at that Garden Swan, having a little rest. Just sitting there, interfering with nobody, when suddenly an old crone came right up to me and sat beside me. You're from the staff of the BBC, she said, aren't you? I just got to think for you, and put a little card into my hand. You know what was written in it? Man for sale.
Vous avez aimé les textes au début?
Oui, on était sur moyennement. On arrivait, après c'est normal, mais parce qu'on n'était pas non plus très dedans avant, et on trouvait ça tout un peu très premier degré. Voilà. On ne voyait pas trop, l'imaginaire fonctionnait pas trop dessus.
Et les liens entre les textes très éloignés, donc on a essayé de réfléchir à avoir du sens, et puis on a laissé tomber ça en disant bon, le sens on essaiera de le trouver après.
Je crois qu'on a fait le deuil de trouver du sens entre les fragments et à l'intérieur des fragments. Et, à mon avis, c'est une bonne chose. Et on s'est plus concentré sur le jeu entre nous, le jeu que chaque fragment pouvait dégager et les interactions qu'on pouvait avoir entre nous pour donner du sens, plutôt que se baser sur des fragments qui n'ont pas de lien entre eux. C'est pour ça le travail qu'on a fait hier et aujourd'hui est très différent, moi je trouve, du travail qu'on fait d'habitude à l'ANSES.
Bebermos cervejas foi porque esse bar está todo grafitado, tem as paredes todas cheias de texto, e uma das coisas que queríamos fazer na nossa experiência, claro que embora não houvesse lideranças havia conceitos e ideias, era uma espécie de espacialização do texto que, sendo, neste caso, o espaço, o próprio espaço, enfim, o palco, e os corpos dos atores. E para mim, para a minha reflexão pessoal, aquilo que me ajudou melhor a ver isso foi, de facto, este bar que é exatamente à frente da escola e que é extraordinário.
Sometimes I ask myself, did we need the text? Did we need something that gathered us? Some way, of course, it helped us. We could focus away from the group. So somehow it would have been interesting to have nothing, because we have us. We had a pure meeting between one another, and we had to listen maybe even more carefully to one another, and then find out how can we share this very clean moment. How can we generate something from nothing but everything? I think it would be more risky. It could be. I don't know. It's sometimes I felt the text was helping, but it was also protecting, or it was out here. It could have been interesting, or for another time.
I think the thought about here is, and also learned by this, and I think learning process is to get to your own limits in some kind of way, and to be curious from there. So I like that we don't try to find one common agreement on what is good or bad,
but I hope everyone has met this limit and be curious from there.
Clearly, I don't take the responsibility to try with nothing. So when I put on the balance what is freedom, what is not, and when I refuse to explain more before the question of my beloved Diana or the people, I try to never answer too precisely, but I choose to have a text like a frame. But maybe I totally agree, we can find a frame without.
L'idea di Michel di far sviluppare il materiale drammaturgico direttamente agli allievi sicuramente il primo giorno è stata letta come un po' spiazzante, però in realtà secondo me è stata un'idea vincente perché ha portato tutti quelli cosiddetti insegnanti a doversi assumere la funzione di esploratori di qualcosa che non conoscevano prima davanti agli allievi. E agli allievi ha dato l'opportunità di essere più responsabili delle loro scelte specifiche fatte in fase di drammaturgia. Una cosa che abbiamo fatto noi come gruppo, per esempio, è stato passare, per capirci, dalla pagina al palcoscenico subito. From page to stage era proprio il titolo, infatti. E quello che abbiamo fatto è stato chiedere ad ognuno di loro di aiutare i compagni a sviluppare la scena che loro stessi avevano scritto. Cioè, tu hai scritto questa sequenza di battute, dirigi i tuoi compagni in questa sequenza di battute. Questo ha permesso di scoprire insieme quali erano i limiti e le opportunità interne alle relazioni e al dialogo. Questa è la cosa politica.
I think that the main point of this school was just maybe forget this part and just to create directly something because the role was defined for us as students and for you as teachers. So directly maybe it's an idea just forget the pedagogue thing and just directly mix with what you can bring to us and what we can bring to you.
And what happens we don't know. But in our group what happens was that we did not play any role or any part in our professional, we were 4 people in the room together. And by something happened, I mean, maybe we would have liked to do something, but something happened, so you never know what the role or the part will be if you go into a room. If you go into a room, you have decided to teach or to show, it's that. Then you have another process, so it's perfectly okay, I think, but it's a very interesting question to discuss. Because that is about process, or about product, or about teaching, or about being a director, or whatever. So you have very nice questions here to answer.
Et n'étiez pas ici, et vous auriez travaillé comme vous avez fait toute seule, vous serez arrivé au même résultat, ou le fait qu'il y a quelqu'un qui vous regarde et après vous donne...
On aurait beaucoup plus douté sur les choses, on serait beaucoup moins allé à l'intérieur des propositions qu'on amenait. En fait. On y aurait beaucoup moins cru.
Mais ils ont énormément cru en nous, en fait, directement. Et donc, je pense que ça nous a pas mal porté, quoi.
Ce qu'ils ont emmené, je pense, c'est beaucoup de prise de conscience. Beaucoup de prise de conscience. C'est vrai que quand on fait un travail comme ça, je pense que tout seul, ça serait presque même impossible de le faire. C'est tellement... je ne sais pas ce que vous pensez, mais moi, c'est l'impression que j'en ai eue, c'est que c'est quand même assez hermétique, quelque part. Et si on n'a pas un retour de quelqu'un qui est en face, moi, je n'aurais pas su dans quelle direction aller.
Le fait aussi qu'on a gommé les barrières et les blocages qu'on peut avoir avec des ouï-dire, on a entendu parler de machin,
ou les étiquettes.
Ça, les étiquettes. Et on s'est tous mis à zéro et on a accepté de tous s'ouvrir et c'est peut-être aussi pour ça qu'on s'est rencontrés aussi bien, je sais pas. Et on était contents de trouver ça, je pense qu'on attendait.
Oui, d'autres professeurs, d'autres personnes.
You are my friends.
Je pense que, comme je pense avoir compris, le texte n'était pas non plus une obligation, c'était une matière. Et nous, en tout cas, dans notre groupe, évidemment, je peux parler que de mon expérience, mais on a eu l'occasion d'aller dans vraiment des pédagogies. Et j'ai vraiment le sentiment qu'on a pu, justement, par exemple, avec quelqu'un plus intéressé par la dramaturgie, comme Andreas, on a eu l'occasion, grâce au texte qu'on avait, d'aller dans la dramaturgie. On a aussi eu l'occasion d'aller dans le corps et moi j'ai vraiment découvert une autre pédagogie à l'anglaise et mais j'ai pu toucher à tout ça et
parmi les divers instruments de recherche, de faire quelque chose pour nos professeurs qui normalement sont trop serrés dans leur travail quotidien. Parmi ces moyens, on a trouvé par exemple le statut de observer, de façon que chaque école puisse envoyer à une école membre professeur pour un certain temps, qui n'a rien d'autre à faire que de se traîner dans cette école pour ouvrir les yeux comment ils font. Et il va revenir évidemment dans son école avec un sac d'expérience qu'il va ouvrir pour l'école qui l'a accueilli et d'autre part à l'école où il réside normalement.
C'est un travail de complicité avec un metteur en scène essentiellement. Et quelquefois, j'en parlais hier soir, c'est un travail aussi de perturbateur. Mais il est très difficile, en fait, d'être dans un contexte comme celui-là, où on travaille sur le geste, on travaille sur des choses.
I think it's very different to direct a play or to be teaching or to be a student. And there were three roles, as I said. Yes, we were here also to learn from the other teachers, as teachers, and from the students. But we were also here to work with the students. And we were also here to put together this big thing. And all of that in 2 days. Because it will be very interesting to understand, are we pedagogues, are we directors, are we there as students, are we there, what kind of contract we want to explore? Because I think
we don't see the project. We have some goals and some questions. The first was, is it interest to put in the same room people from different parts of the theater work? Scenographer, some lighting, some people with work with voice, with body, some director. Just on the first step, to have a lot of different people to try to find solution. So it's one thing. Another thing was, is it possible to put people who don't speak the same language? They have to work in foreign language and to try to understand them in a short time.
So we cannot talk about the text only. We have to talk about the context. That's the reason why we came to this misunderstanding, because I thought it was so interesting the first day to talk with the students by this gap between French and English and look at so much energy in it. And I think that created the context of our research for misunderstanding and understanding. But I also know that we cannot just take the text and say, don't do this, don't do that, because we create the context to read the text. And I think that should be represented on stage as it should be in art. So.
When I speak about hierarchies, one thing was to agree between us in the work. There are hierarchies we didn't want to establish, and that's one kind of work. And another one is the one with the students. And because you have no much time, but you need to explore with them your own perspective, so your colleagues can negotiate here. For me, the difficulty of this encounter has been to really manage a time for us to understand each other, so we could collaborate, and the students been exploring with many voices.
Mm-hmm. different
approaches.
Toward the work they are doing.
Towards, the different the approach in the table with the text that should be clear and understandable, then a proposal on energy here, movement there.
Donc je viens de participer à l'école des écoles. Première forme de cette structure qui donne lieu à une rencontre entre des étudiants et des professeurs. J'avoue que c'est une expérience extrêmement riche à tous les endroits, donc d'une manière horizontale, c'est-à-dire autant au niveau des étudiants que des professeurs, parce qu'elle a été présentée et proposée de cette manière-là, et qu'à cet endroit-là, on a vraiment tous ressenti l'enrichissement de ces rencontres. Alors plus précisément à mon endroit, par rapport à ma manière d'enseigner, ma manière de pratiquer mon métier, le fait de côtoyer des professeurs d'horizons différents, avec des approches de la pédagogie et aussi de leurs professions différentes, m'a permis d'une part d'ouvrir un peu des portes à l'endroit de mon travail personnel et de ma relation au théâtre, au spectacle vivant, aux équipes avec lesquelles je travaille. Et c'est vraiment très important parce que les discussions qu'on a eues m'ont permis vraiment de pouvoir me faire réfléchir à des endroits auxquels je n'avais jamais réfléchi habituellement jusqu'à maintenant.
I think every rehearsal room always struggles with hierarchy because it is an artistic dilemma to create leadership but also to create freedom. And we always have this exciting but challenging problem to negotiate. So yes, perhaps it's exaggerated for us, but it's not a new challenge. For me personally, I feel this is absolutely where we will learn. We, like actors, we will not learn by talking about it. We will only deeply learn by trying to do. And we may make mistakes and we may have a disaster, but that is valid.
One thing I learned is that one thing is this unconscious and non-concrete work of the actor and theatre, and another one is the language on top of which you talk about it.
That's right.
And our work was on language, on language, two languages. The language in general, and also French, Spanish, English, and all the languages that came to the Italian, everything we had to communicate. But it's about finding understanding for me the perspective of the other, the way from where they look, and to understand from where I look, and how to and then find a common language. I think that's the challenge.
For me, I'm very happy to do everything and anything tomorrow. If you feel strongly, I want to try it separate again, or I want to try it, then we do this. You just say it, and we can. But for me, I'm very happy not to make any decisions tonight. I'm very happy to have a beer, or maybe even a gin and tonic.
Sure. Yes.
That we believe in process as much as product.
Quello che vorrei fare io è sottolineare, sicuramente tutti i miei colleghi, ormai quasi amici, hanno abbondantemente sottolineato l'importanza di questo dialogo che si è stabilito con gli allievi, di questa necessità di gestire il poco tempo a disposizione, capendo che ruoli distribuire reciprocamente, però io forse vorrei spezzare una lancia a favore della positività del poco tempo a disposizione, nel senso che non sapendo esattamente nessuno di noi qual è la risposta alla domanda che cos'è il teatro, sicuramente nel poco tempo abbiamo potuto però allenare due aspetti che sono fondamentali per riuscire a farlo, il teatro, nel senso per riuscire a far sì che sia un evento in cui tutti quanti possono avere un momento di onesta relazione con la propria professionalità, la propria creatività e i propri compagni di lavoro. E credo che appunto la pressione temporale aiuti ad essere responsabili delle proprie scelte e disponibili verso le scelte e le proposte dei collaboratori, dei compagni, ma allo stesso tempo anche del materiale drammaturgico, come nel nostro caso, che sta un po' alla base di tutto il lavoro.
I think for me, if we didn't have this showtime moments, we didn't have that limit time who gave us the stress and if we didn't have this showtime moments, I think in our group we would pass one entire day to speak about the text and not to act at the moment, because we were speaking and actually we were there. It doesn't serve. It's useless to speak about because we only have 2 days, and now we've got to act and try something.
Et pour moi, je pense que dans cette idée de liberté, d'un minimum de contraintes et de le plus ouvert possible, le problème, ça reste l'idée de présentation, en fait. Parce qu'à partir de ce moment-là, on bloque et on n'est plus dans le processus, justement, dans ce processus d'idée d'école, vraiment, école des écoles, l'idée de travailler ensemble, dans cette idée vraiment de suivre le procédé jusqu'au bout. Et si ça se passe que entre ces 10 personnes, 5 professeurs et 5 élèves, ben, ça se passe entre nous et c'est important pour les comédiens, pour les professeurs.
Bon.
Allô? Oui? Oui.
C'est-à-dire que là, ce que j'ai vu, ce sur quoi j'ai essayé d'intervenir, en fait, c'est sur un travail complètement en cours, à un endroit, effectivement, où d'habitude, les scénographes n'interviennent pas encore. Alors, c'est une chose absolument passionnante. De dire aussi que j'ai trouvé par moments très très effrayante. Effectivement, moi je suis intervenu déjà avec des comédiens commençant à répéter un spectacle et donc commençant à faire la scénographie au fur et à mesure de la répétition, mais je n'étais jamais venu à ce stade-là de travail où on n'est pas encore à la répétition, en fait, pour moi, où on est dans un préliminaire extrêmement sérieux, complexe, mystérieux presque pour moi, où en fait on voit des hommes et femmes du métier mettre de jeunes comédiens en condition de jouer quelque chose. C'est-à-dire d'ouvrir en fait des milliers de portes de possibles d'un jeu.
Don't misunderstand me. The 2 last days I learned more than, I don't know, very long time. It's been very helpful.
About what? About teaching, about yourselves, about...
About all this. And mainly, I think about what is theatre and what is acting. What is theatre and what is acting. And what is it being present, what is it being listening. And this has also been the topics we chose. And I want to say, it's the danger of this kind of events, I think, is that we are coming here and trying to find an agreement about what is theatre and what is acting right away, and we try to find a way to work together as fast as possible, and boom, then we are producing something. I think that's extremely dangerous. I think...
I assure my need of the dramaturgy, my need of you really need to collaborate
with other teachers,
with other specialities. It's very clear because it's not easy. It's not easy here. It's not easy in Spain. Yeah, definitely. You still keep your look.
Your approach,
Yeah, you still keep it, but it's wider because you understand more.
Et à l'endroit de ma pédagogie,
ça fait que 3 ans que je suis professeur, donc c'est assez nouveau, mais c'est une question qui est vraiment très très importante pour moi, de comment est-ce qu'on transmet d'une part, mais aussi à quelle place on met l'étudiant, puisque je ne pense pas que ce soit une transmission unilatérale, c'est-à-dire que l'étudiant est c'est un cours interactif, l'étudiant prend part au cours et l'étudiant amène peut-être même la base même du cours. Et là, aujourd'hui, dans cette forme de l'école des écoles, cette chose a vraiment eu lieu. Et donc, autant dans le milieu professionnel que dans le milieu de l'enseignement, des réflexions se sont ouvertes, des questions se sont ouvertes. Et en 2 jours, je pense que c'est vraiment ce qu'on attendait et la chose a vraiment eu lieu.
I've rediscovered people from my school because when we are in the same class in 3 years, being in a group, everybody has a place. You are the one who has one. It's normal, it's human. And being with other teachers, I had very strong moments here that I never expect that something could happen here.
Aquilo que me pareceu mais importante nesta experiência foi, por um lado, o contexto de trabalho muito intensivo e, no caso do grupo com o qual trabalhei, a criação de uma situação que consistiu, sobretudo, na tentativa tanto da parte dos professores como dos alunos de procura que integraram nos seus atos, de procura de exatamente qual é que era o lugar que estavam a ocupar, como professores e como alunos. Não definimos da parte dos professores, não definimos nenhum papel ou liderança específica, e da parte dos alunos isso também não se verificou.
Challenge for me, Anna, is that many other modes of research can justify themselves, I feel, more easily through the concrete nature of their outcomes. But theatre is not concrete. That is not to say there are no outcomes, but the outcomes are elusive, intangible, and sometimes unconscious, but valid. So for me, absolutely there can be research, but it's a different way of working, and this is the beginning of, I think, a very interesting, exciting chapter for European collaboration. But we are not the same as chemists or physicians. We are a different species. That's not to say that we need to have a license to misbehave, but we need to understand that we are a different type of animal, I feel.
My work is to let the more freedom, but to put the minimum frame, to let express what it can express. So that's the reason why they never understand what I explain, because my work is to avoid the more private ideas and to build a frame, to try something and to let go some problems, some ideas, some meaning, and a freedom space. It's difficult to describe. So I try to do that.
In receiving arts and receiving such an experience, I think that we have been passionate into this free situation where we have not been before.
Now I have to sense deeply you two, and also people from the school. They were from months to let that kind of things happen. It was very short, but it was my commitment from ÉCOLES. It was difficult to take teachers out of cursus and to send it in another place to do something that clearly nobody happened. Nobody are clearly, in fact, to understand what's happened of this meeting. So you make from this meeting something And it's love. That's it.
5 and action.
You know, these are fundamental, important questions.
Para mim, para a minha reflexão pessoal, aquilo que me ajudou melhor a ter isso foi de facto este bar que é exatamente à frente da escola, que é extraordinário.
Always sound and the light all together.